Welcome back, everyone. It's good to see everyone's still with me. No one's given up yet.
Now that I realize that you're one hour ahead,
You
morning I was there, no one was there then. I said,
mean
okay,
1 hour behind?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, you're 1 hour ahead.
Oh no.
All right, we'll do just a quick little warm up tonight because it's night time. You shouldn't need as much warming up in the evening unless you've injured yourself or something. So we'll just do a quick little lower back release and then get into our next lot of standing. All right. Let's get into it. I've had a long day. All right, let's just get our back moving. Mainly we just want to warm up the back. My legs do not need warming up. I did a leg workout today. Lots of weighted squats and deadlifts and just do a bit of cat cowing. And then I walked up and down the stairs holding my 220-kilo discs. That's a great exercise. Okay, we're just going to try and release the back in another way as well. So from a plank position, like so, just bring your foot in, sink down onto it as best you can. So just put it there in front of you. Your heel is closer to your hip, your knee out to the front, like so. So you're stretching through your glutes and hamstring at the front here. Then you're just going to fold forward. Wriggling that stretch around your right bum cheek. Sit up. And then switch legs. Again, just sinking down through that glute. If you can't get to this position, you can do the same thing, but just kind of let this bum cheek of the knee, which is bent, let it sit down on the side a little bit. So you're actually side onto the movement, and then just try to lean into it. And you'll get the same sort of stretch if you can't get into this full front-on sort of position. Fold it down. back up. And just onto your knees. Push your back into a rounded position, as round as you can. Head down, shoulder blades pushing forward so your spine is pushing up to the sky. Pelvis tucked under as far as it'll go. Hold that position and push back, lengthening out your lower spine. Still holding that position, holding that rounded position. And I'm just wriggling side to side. So I'm stretching into one side of my back, followed by the other. Slowly sit up. Come into a normal squat. And again, rounding your back in this case. Letting that lower back really lengthen out. And then standing up. Okay, Qigong, let's do it. Lights out. No bright lights in the face. Okay, round about, round 6. Our 6th session of standing still. The most difficult thing in all your internal arts practice is doing nothing. Well, not exactly nothing, is it? It's quite a difficult stance to hold, but the nothingness of it is the difficult part, getting the mind to relax. So we're sinking down. Lifting the arms up. Checking your feet are parallel. Scrunching your toes gently. Finding that nice little sweet spot in your feet. Feeling your tailbone sink downwards, like you're trying to poke it into the floor underneath you. Pelvis should be tucked to create a flat lower back, not further than that. We don't want a rounded lower back, as in rounded under. We don't want it rounded in either way. We don't want it curved. It's a flat lower back. Nice, deep, long breathing. Remember what we said in the first class. Feeling your breath float at the top before you breathe out. and then settling for a moment before you start to breathe in. Really feeling your belly push out. Don't never be afraid of your belly looking like it's round. Your belly's not meant to be flat. I mean, not all the time anyway. Obviously, if you're flexing and doing some work, your abs are under contraction, then yes, your belly will be flat. But if it's nighttime and you've had a big dinner and you're taking a big in-breath, your belly should stick out. Doesn't mean you're fat. That's just the shape your belly should expand to. So let it go. Let that belly expand. You'll also feel the lower back expand just a little bit. Not like a reverse breath, where the lower back expands greatly. But you will feel a slight inflation around the whole abdomen and lumbar region. Obviously the abdomen moves a lot more visually. Someone looking at you can see that moving. Whereas the lumbar spine, you can feel it. Someone could only see it if you had your shirt off. If you allow that lower back to expand, if you can feel that lower back expanding as you take that inhalation, this is a very good indication that your lower back is nice and relaxed. If your back is extremely tense, if I tense up my lower back, so I've got a bit of an arch, my bum's sticking out just a little bit, then I breathe in, I'll actually feel my back hollow out as I inhale. But if I relax into the posture, then when I breathe in, I feel the spine, all the muscles around the spine inflate, they expand outward because they're not tense. So I'm allowing them to move. It's the same concept as your belly. If I hold tension on my belly and try to breathe in, obviously the breath will go straight up. It won't go out from my belly. So I've got to relax my belly, let it stick out. Look down, check your feet. Are they still parallel? Has a toe turned out just a little bit? Or are they still pointing forwards? If they have moved out of a line them back up and sink back down. Make sure that your elbows are hanging down off your wrists. This will help keep the shoulders relaxed. If you lift your elbows up, like I'm doing now, you're needlessly lifting the shoulders, creating extra tension. Let the elbows drop. Notice how there's a slight angle to the forearms because the palms are above the elbows. Let's take the hands down. Keep that pelvis nice and relaxed. Even though your arms are in a very low and relaxed position now, you shouldn't be feeling too much tension through the shoulders since the hands are so low. But they are still forward of the body, so you're still maintaining structure. So try to make sure you can feel your scapula or shoulder blade, as it's commonly known, pulling down and pulling in to your rib cage. We don't want the scapula pulling away from the rib cage. We want it pulling in. That's stabilizing the shoulder into a nice balanced position. By pulling those scapulas back, you're creating strength in the front of the shoulder because you're giving it a solid base to lift from. So even though we're doing a very gentle structure right now, you're still training those muscles to maintain good core structure. So that when you do go to lift something heavier, like your child, those muscles will automatically switch on, dragging those scapulas down, and stabilizing the entire shoulder joint. Slowly let your hands float up to the sides. Close off the Qigong. Oh, that's getting better and better. One of my reasons for doing this Qigong challenge was not so much that it's a challenge, well, kind of is a challenge for me. Not because I find Qigong hard, but I find it hard to find time for it. With 2 kids now, running a business, you know, technically I could, but I just, you know, you end up, oh, I'm doing this and that, just the time runs away from you. So by setting it as a class, I'm actually using all of you as a, oh, well, hang on, I've got to go and do Qigong because everyone's there waiting for me to do Qigong. So it's forcing me to make sure I do my own Qigong morning and night. yeah, if I make it like it's a business thing, so that's my work. I have to do that. I can't, I don't feel like, oh well, maybe I should I don't know, do the dishes or do something else in the house and fix something or play with the kids, or, oh no, this is business though. I've got to run the business, so I've got to go and do my Qigong, you see. So these are the parts of my business which sort of not really work. They just come out here and do some Qigong with you. But even just in the last 3 days, we've done 6 sessions now. And as I said, I've got a back injury due to the chiropractor doing a bit of a mishap on me. But I've had this massive spasm and tension in my lower back since he did his adjustment. Anyway, just in these last 3 days, 6 sessions, just this session now, everything felt like I wasn't having to wriggle as much. The first session and even the first couple of sessions, I was like, oh, hang on, no, bring that back there, no, tuck that pelvis under. I was having to, felt like kind of like, what a beginner sort of feels like. But obviously when you have been practicing for a very long time, even if you go out of your practice for a while and you haven't been doing it for a while or something like that, you'll find you'll get back to where you were within a few days, instead of when the first ever time you start practicing takes you years to get up to a certain point. But then if you stop doing it, you sort of lose it. And then it's like, oh, gee, this is difficult, but it snaps back very, very quickly. So yeah, no, I'm finding like that session there, my left foot was still creeping out just a little bit if I completely relaxed it. So there's still some problem there in my left hip. But overall, my pelvis was really nice and heavy and relaxed. My shoulders felt good. Everything felt just really nice and aligned. So I'm looking forward to day 10 and see how that feels. And yeah, after that, well, after day 10, I've got to go to Slovenia and do a workshop out there. And we're staying out there with friends for the week. So when I get back, though, I'm gonna be something a little bit different, but more or less another thing like this, but some kind of a just continuation, not just 10 days or something, but just regular Qigong, just doing Qigong morning and night. Maybe not every single day of the week, because sometimes I'm on a plane or something, so I can't do it absolutely every single day of the week. As in at a set time. I could probably do it on the plane. It's just that people, like, they look at you funny and they're like, hey, what are you doing? Don't loiter. All right. Qi Development Tools is the next session. We have I was about to say we have 1 minute until we have to start, but now it's 8 o'clock.
Eli.
Yes. John.
Right, you're standing like this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The shoulders, are they kind of back or slightly forward? That doesn't affect the spine, whether it...
You're trying to hold them kind of where they are. That's a good question. So let me just jump up and show you.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look at where my shoulder sits when I'm relaxed, right? I'm not doing anything with my shoulder. Now, if I lift my arm, see where I think you can see where my shoulder blade is here, right? If I go like this, see how it went to the front? See, there it's pulling back, and there it's moving around the front of my rib cage, see? This shirt's a bit tight. So, yeah, if you can see where the shoulder blade is there, that's with my arm just completely relaxed, hanging by my side, right? So that's where the shoulder should naturally sit. Now, you've got to be careful of that if you've got a problem with your body, right? Sometimes you go, okay, my shoulder's nice and relaxed. Yep, that's just where it sits naturally. Well, no, you've got to fix that. You've got to find and align to the correct position, which is your shoulder should hang to the side of your body. If it sits here naturally, there's something wrong in the back. There's too much tension. If it sits here naturally, well, there's too much weakness in there, maybe too much tension in the front, this and that. You could also be rolling forward or pulling backwards. You could be standing here like this and your entire scapula could be sticking out like that, right? So that's winging away. That, again, means a weakness in the back. You've got to pull that in. So anyway, assuming your shoulder is relatively in a good position when you are relaxed. There's my scapula there. You see, when I lift my arm, it's still in the same spot. I can still feel my scapula with my finger. Now I can draw my scapula back. Now see, that's pushing into my finger. So the scapula's pulling towards my spine. Or I can let it, oh, now it's running away from my finger. I want to leave it exactly there where it was, which means it's in a perfectly neutral position rather than, being like pulled around as if you're squeezing into the spine, or like as if the scapula are rounding around to the front. Keep in mind, however, that when your hands are up, because there's weight now at the front, here you're relaxed, your shoulders are relaxed. So if you lift your arms and maintain that same sensation of relaxation, when you lift your arm up, your shoulder's going to be slinging forward because I stayed relaxed. At this point, my upper back muscles around the scapula don't have to be engaged because my arm's just hanging by my side. As soon as I lift my arm, in order to maintain that same position of the scapula, all those muscles have kind of got to go and just hold on a little bit. So in this position, it feels a little bit like as if you're pulling backwards because that's the position they're drawing back, even though they're not physically moving backwards, but they're sort of holding in that backward state. Yeah, so it's in the middle. It's in the neutral position. That's where we are.
Great, Eli. Good. Got it.
That's, as I said, the standing Qigong, everything about it is neutrality. Everything's balanced left and right, balanced straight, neutral, balance on the feet. Everything's about that sweet spot, that balancing point. Of course, when we throw a punch, obviously, then your scapula rolls right the way forward. It's going forward because that's part of your punching power is your scapula pulling back, and then your scapula will pull back the other way. It's rare. I don't think there would ever be a time no, even then. Oh yeah, I suppose if you were if you were doing like a backward elbow, like over the top, that sort of an elbow, that'd be about the only sort of, an actual backward striking technique. Then your scapula would, obviously the whole body turns with it, but the scapula at that point would pull, not like locked into the spine, but it would certainly pull back towards the spine on a movement like that. So the scapula is moving all the time in movement, but this is a static stance, so yeah. All right. Qi developments. Let's get into it. All right, so we had a couple of people from last week. Oh, hang on. Just let me put myself on full screen for those viewing afterwards. Oh, that didn't work. Hold on a second. Nope, that didn't work. John's on full screen now. Sorry, John, you're on full screen. Everyone can see John. There we go. No, nothing to do with what you're doing, John. It was me. I'm flipping the screens around. We're all good now. Okay. What was I going to say? Yes, a couple of people asked questions from last week because I mentioned about the Qi Development Tool. Oh, it's not a bug, it's just some hair. Medical applications, as in doing it to someone else. So all of the internal arts, Qigong, Taiji, all of this stuff has Qigong for yourself and Qigong for someone else, as in performing Qigong. That's what a Qigong doctor will do. That is what an acupuncturist should be doing. See, this is the thing with everything in the West. A lot of the time, we take one part of something and then call it the same thing. It's like people who learn only the Tai Chi form. That's all they learn. They go around teaching, they call themselves grandmasters, and all they practice is Tai Chi form. And they say they're masters of Tai Chi. How can you be a master of something when you're only doing 10% of that thing? That's not Tai Chi. Tai Chi, Taiji Chuan, is the whole package. It's the form, it's the Qigong, it's the push hands, it's the fighting, it's the boxing, it's the grappling, it's the throwing. It's the whole concept. That's Taiji Chuan. Form is not Taiji Chuan. That's just one small part of it. You would never just do push hands and claim to be a Taiji master. You would never just do the boxing part and claim to be a Taiji master. But because the form is what people are the most familiar with. If you ask anyone down the street, what's Tai Chi? They'll go, oh, that thing where they kind of, this sort of, that's what they'll think of when they think of Tai Chi. So that's why people can get away with it. Anyway, same thing with traditional Chinese medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine should be acupuncture, acupressure, cupping, herbs, Qigong, and probably several other things. I'm not a TCM doctor. But a lot of the time, people just learn the acupuncture. That's it. They just learn the acupuncture. In a typical acupuncture school, from the ones I've been told about anyway, from my students who have gone to acupuncture schools, it's like a 4-year, 5-year course, something like that, to learn all the needling. The Qigong element is like 5 classes or something, a lot of them. It's ridiculous. It's like, hang on, that's your foundation. If you're not doing Qigong, you can't do acupuncture. Just jamming needles into someone, that's not acupuncture. You've got to feel. The whole point of acupuncture is you have to feel with your energy. So therefore, you have to practice Qigong to get to that state where you can feel. Where am I going with this? I've gone off on a tangent. Qi Development Tools, yes. So, Qi Development Tools, you work it on yourself first. Make sure that you are really balanced within yourself. And you've got that manifestation of Qi. You can feel the activation of the meridians through yourself first. And then you can take that method and place it into somebody else. You can do all sorts of different things with your energy in terms of treatments. You can combine it. Myself personally, I usually do a combination of things. So not just energetical, as in, where you're barely touching. In the same way that we did the activation of these points last week, how we were sort of, barely touching, not the physical pressure. So you can do that to someone in various different methods. You can either use specific methods or you can just feel. Sometimes if you're at a high enough level, you don't need to go, okay, you've got this problem, well, I'm going to put this method on you or something. No, you just feel. You feel where your hands need to go, that kind of thing. I personally like to combine the two. So I will do some of this type of work, but then sometimes I'll kind of feel and go, oh, there's a little stubborn bit. Use something a bit more yang and press in with the palm, or even get the elbow in there sometimes. But even using the elbow, it's a little more difficult with the elbow to maintain full body movement. But the same thing applies. You're not just sitting there going like this, just using your arm or your shoulder, something like that. You still. So even if it's physical pressure, you're still sending the movement from here, sending the movement from your dantian, even if it's the physical side of the pressure. Anyway, the Qi Development Tools, each of these methods has a very specific medical application that you perform on your patient. This particular one would normally be done with the patient standing up. You would normally get them to stand in a Qigong stance. Because with medical Qigong, acupuncture, anything to do with energy really, actually it's not even energy, anything to do with healing, the patient has to let you heal them, okay? Now sometimes people see that and they're like, oh, so what is it, is it really you doing anything, or are they just doing it themselves, or is it, what do you mean I have to let you do it or something? But it's the same as anything. If you have a broken arm that's like that, I have to let the doctor fix it. If he tries to grab my arm and I go, don't you touch my arm, that hurts. He's not going to be able to fix it. So it's more subtle with energy. But if I stand in front of someone and say, go on, I don't believe in this, do your Qi development. And I just stand there. What? There's this barrier. I'm not letting you touch me, you see? As in internally touch me, energetically touch me. But if I go, first of all, I need to trust this person. I need to trust that this person is here to help me. In which case, naturally, my body, I'll let my guard down, you see? You need to let your guard down to allow their energy, whether that's energetical or massage-based or acupuncture-based, doesn't matter what it is, you have to let your guard down, which means you have to trust that person, which means the best healer for you might not be the best healer for someone else. If you go to someone and you think, oh, I don't really like this person, don't like their personality or whatever, your body's going to close off to them. Even if they're maybe renowned as the world's greatest healer, if you don't feel comfortable with them, you won't let them heal you subconsciously. Anyway, I'm not going to teach these in this class. That's not what these classes are about. These classes are about learning the Qi Development Tool, all 12 of them, for yourself. I will eventually do a video course of some sort on the medical applications of these methods, but I will just show you, I'll just demonstrate the first one of the one we've already done, the heart one, just so you got an idea, because people asked a question about it, just so they have, oh, okay, so that's sort of the gist of it, and obviously with each one goes through. So I'll just call in my lovely assistant to help me. Oh, here she comes. Hello, wife. Hello. Okay, so what I would get Fran to do is just sit down, not the arms, but just slightly bend your knees. Nothing, not like a full Qigong stance, because then she might be like, oh, it's a bit difficult or something. Just a gentle bend of the knees, and essentially go into a meditation. Just go into a Qigong state, allow your pelvis to tuck under, chin to tuck in, nice and relaxed, as if you're doing your own Qigong. So that's going to allow her meridians to start to flow a little bit already, and then I can apply the next level. I would first, while she's doing her Qigong, you see, I would charge myself up. I might do some normal Qigong, perhaps. There's all different ways you can do it. But the specific thing is, I would first do a few rounds of the specific Qigong that I'm going to do on her. So I do that several times myself until I feel really pumped up and charged, right? So I'm not going to do all that now because I'm just demonstrating. But now I would apply the same method of the hands. It's not identical, of course, because there's going to be a head between your hands, but I'll give you the idea. Okay, so that would be one round. And however much power you want to put into it, you might do 2 or 3 or 4 rounds of that Qigong. How did that feel, baby?
Felt good.
Yeah. So what's happening there, just to show you, so that first little activation that we do, that up the, kind of a little bit like the martial, like as if you're snapping a neck or something. You're just coming down the side of the face. Okay, the face also houses a lot of emotional stuff. So we're coming down the side of the face. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but just there and coming straight up the front of the face. And this right hand just lingers. The left hand goes around the back of the neck, sinks into the back of the neck and actually grabs hold of the nape. Not really hard, just a little bit of a squeeze in there. And as I squeeze into there, my right hand comes back up the front of the face and then into the third eye with the Laogong point. That's more of an energetical release, whereas the back one is more of a physical release. So I'm not sort of physically pushing on her head, I'm energetically pushing into her head. Then I hold my right hand, although it's not issuing anymore, it's relaxing back a little bit. I slide my hand again without really physically touching. I'm just sliding down the outside of her arm till I come down the heart meridian. So I'm already sort of getting a bit of the heart meridian here, but I can't quite get it because it's under the arm. But I'm coming down and now I'm definitely getting the heart channel on the outside of the arm here. I come down till my longest finger nestles into heart 7, which is one of the main master points for the heart. I then squeeze into that point as I do another energy release through that right palm, and then release. And then, as I say, if you wanted to do it again, this hand's already up here. My left hand's just going to come in as the right hand comes down the side of her face. And again, I can do it again. You can repeat that process. Thank you, darling. Yeah, so that just to give you a rough idea there of what it looks like to perform that on somebody else. And depending on what is in their system already will depend on what happens afterwards. I did do it to one lady once, and she started crying because she had a lot of emotional stuff that had to come out. So she was there, and just as I was doing it, I saw a little tear run down her eye. And then after I finished maybe the 3rd round or something, I just gave her a hug and she just broke down in tears. So, but she felt fantastic afterwards. That was the beauty of it. She came up to me like she had a really, really good long cry first. Then, you know, we went about our business, started whatever else I was teaching at the workshop, carried on with the class. And then she came up to me some time later and just said, I feel so good. Like she literally felt like this weight was lifted off her chest because it had released something. So the same thing can happen if you do it yourself. Now, of course, if you're a total stark beginner at Qigong, you're more likely to get that effect if a Qigong doctor who's good at it performs it on you. Because you're a beginner, you're like, well, what am I doing? I've got to step. You're not getting much Qigong happening if you're a total beginner. It's kind of like sometimes people ask me, oh, my mother's just gone to the hospital with a heart condition. Can you give me some Qigongs for her to do in hospital? I'm like, has she ever done Qigong before? No. What? All right, I mean, I can give her some things to do, but it's not realistically going to do anything. I mean, it'll be, maybe it'll relax her a little bit, but it's not going to have any major effect. Because when you first start it, you've got to learn how to do Qigong before you start getting the benefits of Qigong. You can't just expect to be a total beginner and rub these points and some magic happens, Okay, let's get into the small intestine. So this is the yang side of the heart. Heart and small intestine work together, yin and yang pair. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to have the right foot forward again. Like the last one, we're going to go through the physical attributes of the movement tonight. Next week, we will do getting into the real internal parts of the thing. Okay. And as I said, if we have time left over, then we'll do a bit of revision over the first one as well. But what I'll do is each week, each time we have something new to learn, I will teach you the new one first. Same as next week, I'll teach you the new one first. Make sure we fit that into the class. If there's no time left, there's no time left. If you want to do some revision, you can always go back and look at one of those first classes on that one. But it is also nice to do revision with me in a new class, because maybe I'll word something a different way and help you to understand things from different angles. Add a few details maybe I missed out or something like that. I mean, you've got the core structure, but little extra teaching tips that you might find useful. But again, I'll only do those if there's time. So if tomorrow, not tomorrow, if next week we go through this one again, and we sort of get to halfway through the class and we're like, well, we've done that 30 times now. I think we're good with that. Let's do a bit of revision and go back and look at the heart again. Okay, so physical. I have already turned the light on, but I'll turn that one off because I've got side shadows happening. All right. So right foot forward, same, exactly the same. Nothing different. Nothing new to learn here. Just relax your body, relaxing down. Okay, the footwork is exactly the same. Yeah, footwork's exactly the same. The waist within the footwork, though, is different, okay? So in the heart, we put the weight, we sunk back first, remember? Then we went forward. But when we stepped through, we had to keep the body over this side. Then we released back from this side to that side, okay? This time, we're going to start the same, sinking back, turning in. Then we come forward, much the same as if you were doing the heart. So up until this point, it's the same. I'm sinking forward and still over this side. But now instead of stepping there, I'm going to step there. So the step is the same, but as my foot rolls through, my center will turn back the other way, and then boom, I'm coming down this way. So I'm going to have the same hand and foot forward this time instead of the reverse hand and foot. Okay. So yeah, if you're getting muddled up with your feet or anything, it's always a good idea just to remember these by remembering that, right, the heart finishes reverse hand. The small intestine finishes same hand and foot, okay, when you finish that one. So, all right. First thing we're going to do, the gross details. Dig your left hand under, right there where it is. So it's doing the opposite to what we did here. Actually, no, it's not the opposite. The hands still spiral a little bit that way on the heart. It's still kind of ever so slightly turned that way, but it's, it's more or less nothing. It's just kind of coming across. This time, though, we're physically digging like a scoop this way, you see? That's the sort of action we're looking at. So we sink the weight from that sort of, 90% back. So you're pretty much back weighted. But remember, we did that first little before we moved forward. There was that extra sink back before we moved forward. That's on your out breath. Your in breath was just, there to start with. No movement on the first in breath. Okay, right, so. Until your hands, I'm not going to go all over the specific points right now. Let's just get the core details right. So let's just say until the left palm is, just underneath the right palm-ish. Just like that, okay? So once the palms meet, my weight's back, I'm facing just a little bit off center. Not a big movement in terms of the center turn, but I'm just there. There would be the corner. I'm somewhere halfway between the front and the corner-ish. Now, from here, you're going to sink your weight forward, Keep that hand digging upwards, sinking forwards. My right hand is sliding down the outside of my left forearm, okay? Down the little finger side, like that, from the hand to the elbow. Gets roughly halfway, like halfway down the forearm. By the time I'm fully weighted forward, now it's going to go the rest of the way right down to the elbow as I turn back to my left. Okay, so the foot places on the ground. All the footwork is the same as last time. We'll go over that in a bit more detail later. But again, the whole foot flat, you know, the thing about before, rolling the foot up with no weight on it, touching the floor, feeling the floor, all of that stuff that we already did in the previous one, you apply that here. It's the same stepping. So you've got to time it so that you get to the elbow, like your fingertips here, you see? Not right on like this, it's just your fingertips stroking down your arm. Fingertips get to just past your elbow, just on the underside of your arm there, roughly when your foot touches the ground. So that's the first part of the move. Last part's very simple. So dig, sit back till your left palm reaches underneath your right palm. Sink forward, dig that hand up, continue digging that hand up, but turn to the left, turn to your open side, which is now becoming your closed side because I've stepped forward. Place your foot down as I get to there, which is heart 3. Then all you've got to do from here is strike forward. Boom. Okay. Same hand position as what we did for the end of brush knee twist step. How you get into it is, of course, a little different because you're not getting that like little finger up, you're not getting the same spiral, things like that are different, but the position of yang and yin coming down the center, that's almost identical. That's the first method. Let's maybe do it sideways. So I'm going to stay on that side. I'm going to have my right foot forward. So let's all face that way. Put your right foot forward. I don't know if you were doing that mirror or not, but let's all do it this way this time. You should be able to then just keep your eye on me there and kind of see what's going on. Actually, what I might do is, you don't need to see my feet for now. The feet are the same. So I'm going to come in a little closer so that you can see what the hands are doing. Even if my head's a little out, you don't need to see my head. The important thing here is the hand details. So I'm going to stand here and do it. That's where I place my foot on the ground, and then come through to the end. Let's try the reverse side at that same angle. That may help you. So left foot forward now means the right hand's going to do the digging portion and the whole dominant movement. The right hand's going to be the doing hand. Stepping through, placing the foot flat. And relax. Back onto the right side. So right foot forward. Nice deep in-breath. Out-breath. Just towards the end of that out-breath, you start to move. Then when you're moving forward, you're breathing in. All the way through. And then breathing out. To finish. One more time on the left side. Left foot forward, right hand's going to dig. So one of the primary activational twists on this movement. Remember in the heart I mentioned how when the hand goes this way, you'll feel this little sort of a light stretching, pulling sensation down the ulnar side of the arm, but sort of like the inside of the ulnar. So sort of like, you know, if there's the ulnar bone there, it's like just on the inside line of that ulnar bone when you're out like that to activate the heart. Small intestine, it's almost in the same spot. They both run down here. One's on the inside, the heart, the small intestine, the yang is on the outside. So it's by digging the hand in there, you need to dig the hand enough. It's only got to be subtle movement. You don't have to think like this or something. It's a subtle movement, but if I do nothing and just kind of, I don't know, just lift the hand like this, not feeling that activation. But when I dig the hand, there, oh, there it is. I can feel this sort of it's very gentle. It's more of an internal energetical thing that you're feeling, but it is activated by a physical stretch. By pulling it in that way, I'm feeling the same thing as in the heart, but just you'll feel it a little bit more down the back, which is where the small intestine runs. Small intestine runs from the little finger down to the base of your hand, in through more a little bit through the center of the wrist, and then out towards the outer elbow, and then up through your arm and around your back, and does a little zigzag there, and then up over your shoulder, up into your neck, and then up to your eye, and then finishes in just in here in your ear. So that's the main reason why we're digging that hand through. You're holding that dig until you start to step, okay? So, maybe you want to try mirroring me this time. I'll start with my right leg forward, you start with your left leg, then we'll switch, we'll do the other side. So, our rear hand is going to do the digging. Still digging, still digging, still digging, still digging, still digging, still digging. So it's on that kind of spiral until my weight is fully forward. And then when I sort of it's not like it completely loses it, but it's gradually starting to lose that twist. So the twist is gradually coming in. See, it's rolling just a little bit, but then it fully rolls out there on the end of the move. So you build up that twist to activate the energy, and then let that energy out into the forward movement. You're still getting the heart meridian activated because you've got a little bit of a crisscross because they're interrelated. Whereas in the heart, we were activating the pericardium, which is obviously related to the heart. So with some of these Qigongs, not always do you activate the opposite. Sometimes you'll activate something that else is relative to it. So for example, the heart and the pericardium physically work together, even though they're not the balanced pair of that meridian. So let's try that again, just the physical elements of this Qigong. Dig. Continue digging. It is still an external spiral going on. Now at this point, my rear foot is empty. As I lift it and pendulum it forward, the body will turn back to the other side. And that's when I lose a little component, not all of it. So my hand's still sort of thumb on top, but you see, it's just rolled over just a little bit, just to there. So yeah, let's just, you know, obviously these things are always going to be, the epitome of these Qigongs is that you'll never see someone doing it correctly, someone who knows how to do them, you'll never see them do it the same twice. It's like lightning, okay? Now that doesn't mean that you should see them like, you know, do it this way. And the next time they do it, they put the other foot forward, but still have that hand forward and do it this way. I'm not talking about physically changing the method to something completely different. No, I'm talking about little subtle differences. So, you know, the exact angle of that hand, is it there? Is it there? That's something you feel from within yourself, and it will always vary. Even the little movements of the feet. Sometimes my foot might want to slip out just a little bit. Other times it might want to hold in just a little bit. All of these things are things you will learn to feel. But in the beginning, of course, we give you a little bit of a set pattern to follow just to get into it. So, as I said, we dig until roughly you've on the front leg, you've turned to your maximum direction this way, sort of out towards the corner, and the right hand is roughly halfway down its activation. Now we turn back the other way, step forward, finish the activation, and release a little bit of that. Put the foot down. See? So I'm normally finding, yeah, my hand is just on a slight angle. That would be the, you know, the ballpark activation. Then when I come forward from that sort of position, see the hand rolls out. You see? So the hand is actually going the opposite direction comparatively to the previous one, because the previous one it was wrapped up this way. So the hand was going from thumb down, twisting externally that way. Obviously not that much, it just went pop just to there, just till the fingers are pointing forwards, but it is still that type of spiral. Whereas this one, we're this way, and the hand is actually moving inward. You see, it's rolling that way. It's a very subtle stuff here, just like that, you see. But it is technically a tiny internal spiral there. Okay, let's try it again with the breathing and with trying to feel that spiral. So we're still working on more of the physical elements here, but I want you to feel that activation down the back of the arm, that physical sort of stretching, contraction feeling. And then feel that release as the hand flies over to the side. And then a little bit of a sort of a flex in the hand, just a little bit. Obviously the hand goes yang on the end, so you'll feel just that little bit of activational intent through that palm. Okay, let's try it. So in-breath to start. Natural breath. Breathe out. Towards the end of the breath, start to sink back, dig. Start to move forward, breathing in. As you step through, release. Everything releases out. Everything goes a little bit soft because the torque is releasing. And then final posture. Other side. Again, dig. So breathe in first. Breathe out. Start to dig. Release all that torque to the other side. And then watch my right hand here. It's very, very subtle, but it's a little bit of a up and over, you see? Like that. So when your hand comes out, you dig it, you bring it around as you release, as you're releasing that hand a little bit, activating down, and then your hand's going to go, if I exaggerate this, it's going to kind of go, so it's a forward circle in the movement. So be careful that you don't lift your hand too high. If you lift your hand up too high when you do the method, here, if I lift my hand right up in the air, it doesn't feel like you can go that way because you're so high, it's like, I can't reach over. So when you lift your hand too high, what tends to happen is you'll naturally do a little bit of a loop under and then pump through, which gives you a very different feeling in the movement. You could probably get something to still happen like that, but yeah, for me it just doesn't have that same surge of power, it doesn't have that same wave through the body. So the way the Qigong should be done is this sort of, it's like a sort of a repulse monkey, or more like a natural repulse monkey, I suppose, even though we're coming forward in this case rather than sitting back as it's done in the Taiji form. But yeah, it's got that similar rolling action of the arm. Naturally, it's not going right out to the rear before it comes forward, but it's still got that sort of element to it, you see. So let's give it another go, left and right, and think about that particular rolling action. So right foot forward to start. I'm going to give myself a bit more space this time so I can try and do both without readjusting and stepping back. Breathe out. Begin. See, there's that little tiny up and over. Take an in-breath. opposite side. Sinking back first. Sinking forwards. Sinking. Rolling that foot up completely empty without pushing off it. Taking it out to the side. Releasing that torque. A little up and over circle. Oh, I'm enjoying these. They're just so strong, like they're so calm, yet at the same time you still feel, you don't feel limp and weak, you feel like a big silverback gorilla, you know. He's just like so chilled out and relaxed, but he'd snap you in half with his little finger if he wanted to. That's the sort of feeling it gives you. This one is the yang, of course. So I don't know if it's also just because I've been doing a lot of yang stuff today. I've been doing some weight training and things, so my body's feeling a bit more yang than usual. So I am feeling a bit more yang, but this is the yang side as well, so naturally it should feel a bit more yang comparatively to the heart Qigong. Now I'm going to finish off today's class with, that's all the details I'll give you with that. So just focus on that for the week, and I'll go in a little bit more detail of exactly the meridians you're focusing on and the little activations like we did last time with the heart next week. And that will be... that'll be 4 classes then. So that'll be the end of the free trial. So anyone who wants to continue, I'll send you some information of the, if you want to continue the class, I'll send you some information about that, how to register and so on. I want to show you now how to change sides properly. Those of you familiar with the Taiji form, or at least our Taiji form, I don't know if this will apply to other Taiji forms. It should, I suppose, in some ways, but it won't be as close, probably. The posture of play guitar. Okay, so now some Taiji schools I've seen do this movement like this. They roll that rear foot and then just do that. It's just a very simplified version. That's how Dad used to teach it, in fact, in the Yang Ching Fu's form. So just a very simplified movement. But that's not the full play guitar. So what we want to do with play guitar is you roll the foot up. We're not going to do all of this in the Qi Development Tool, but the posture in the form is to sink down and then dig the hands up, lift, and sink. So it's this change here is kind of loosely based around that, or maybe this is loosely based around that. I'm not actually sure as to whether these predate the Taiji form or came from the Taiji form. My father, I've been meaning to look it up again as to see if Dad specified that, but I don't know if it was just at the workshops where, you know, sometimes you get a bit confused and say, oh, this is a Taiji method or this is a Wudang method. You sometimes say the wrong thing. But I always remember him sort of sometimes calling them, saying, oh yeah, well this is like the posture in the form where it comes from. So I'm like, oh, so these came after the Taiji form. But then other times he'd mention it the other way around. So I'm unsure myself as to whether these came before or after the form, but it doesn't bother me because I just love them. They're just so powerful. Right, so based around a similar sort of concept as that, we've done our movement. We've done our, let's see if we've done bombs. We've got our left foot forward. We've just done our method. This will be exactly the same regardless of which one you've just finished. There's only one subtle difference. So from here, you literally just sit back, mildly lift your hands, and drop them. That's basically it. There is a bit more detail to it, but in a nutshell, that's it. So you're skipping the rolling of the foot. You're not doing that portion of it. You're skipping the big dropping movement. You're skipping the movement of that foot. Everything about the Qi Development Tools is minimal physical movement, as I've been telling you, comparatively to Taiji form. Where were we? Yeah. So you just, as you push off this left leg, your hands begin to rise. We're not doing any of the sinking part because the hands are already a little bit kind of, they've got a very sinking energy, even though they're not dropping right down here. So they're now going to lift as I start to sit back. When I say lift, it's an energetical lift. It's barely any physical lift. And now as I sink into my rear leg, see the hands sink. So it's like as if I'm doing this. That's one subtle difference comparatively to the form. There is a version of the form which can be done like this as well, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. So in the form, the normal version is the hands are sort of digging under and lifting something up and then dropping out like that. Okay. This, however, the hands, when they lift, now this is too much. I'm just showing you, I'm exaggerating the movement. From that posture, the hands will roll and then this kind of action as they settle. But this is how much it should be done. See, there was the open and there's the close. So it's got this intent of rolling out like a spiraling wave kind of thing, you see, like this. But it's all just in here, just in your inside. Right. Just breathe. The rear hand is ever so slightly leading the whole thing. Like as if that, you know, sort of thing, but obviously don't do it like that. See, right hand is coming up first. Now, going into the next side, you can do one of two things. You can either go straight in on that breath. So you've just breathed out. There. You breathe in. Breathe out. You would never breathe straight out into the movement. Remember, I said the movement starts towards the end of the out breath, like the last third or so of the breath. Again, that's just a feeling thing. But we're going to breathe in. Out. See, I'm settling into my posture, and then at the end of that out breath begins the movement, and then in and out for that movement. The other option is from there you breathe in, you breathe out, settle properly, and then take another in breath, just like we did at the beginning when we first started. So take an in breath. Take an out breath. Again, and towards the end of that out breath, you begin the movement. The only slight difference when you do the heart version, you got your other hand to foot forward. Okay, so we'd be finishing like that, wouldn't we? So in which case, as you do it, it's the same thing, really. But instead of your hands being here and going 1, 2, your hands are here. So you just, there's a little bit more physical movement because your hands have to switch so that you're always finishing with your same hand and foot. You would never be doing the method like this. It just kind of feels awkward like that. You see, that's your natural stance. That's, you know, foot and hand forward. This doesn't feel right to sort of stand all crossed off, you see. Sure, during a movement, bang, you know, and then back, but your balanced sort of natural sitting point I'm talking about. Okay, I think I'll leave you there for today, everyone. That was nice. Any questions?
Not a question, more a realization for me. It's I know it as a Dao Yin, a guiding and leading Qi or energy, whichever you want to call it. And it's nice this against turn and then the release, which feels very nice with the massage on the meridian, which is a realization that I've just had.
Yeah, cool. No, it's really lovely. I love the fact that it's like there's kind of this, I mean, again, they're all very subtle, but there's this sort of physical tension, mild, but physical tension down that arm, whilst the other hand is just so gentle and soft coming down. And then it's almost like the softness of that hand feeds into that hand, and now everything's soft, and then there's this little surge of power coming through that final part. So it's a really nice little method. All right, well, thank you all very much for joining me. It's so nice to see still lots of big live classes. I know a lot of people, there's about 20, what is there? Well, there's about 30 new people registered for these classes, but then there's also the 50 odd people who are registered for my usual classes who get these links as well. So there's potentially 80 people following these classes. But yeah, obviously, you know, they're on all different, some are in Australia, some are in America, so it's not always a good time zone to be following. So a lot of people follow them in the recorded link afterwards, but it's really nice to see at least a full screen of little screens in front of me. It's fantastic. Right, well, I'm going to go and hopefully relax, because I think Fran's already put the kids to bed. So I will see you when I see you next. Tomorrow morning we've got Qigong Challenge at... when's the Qigong Challenge? I think it's 6:30. I'll send it in the email, but I think it's 6:30 before my normal class. I've got to get up early again. 7 o'clock is my normal second, third Yang Lu Chan class, and then 8 o'clock is the bag work class after that. But yeah, Qigong Challenge is 6:30. I'm pretty sure. I'll confirm that in the recording link email if you're going to be following us for that. Enjoy your evening. See you next time.
Thanks, Eli.
See you later.
See you. Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.